friend. Welcome to the podcast. I am Melissa Matheson, and we are down to the final 3 episodes of our Celebrating Singles series we've been doing here on the podcast for January 2020. We've been talking with artists, musicians, teachers, business owners, and others who all just happen to be single. We are talking about how they are living life, building relationships, and how we can all grow together as a community of people to step into our purpose. Now, although we haven't dived too deep into the topic of their personal dating stories, I admit I wouldn't have minded hearing a story or two about awkward first dates. So here's an idea. Find me on Instagram or Facebook and send me a short message about an awkward first date or an awkward dating experience. We're putting together some ideas for our final episode for the series that will be next Wednesday, January 29th, and we just might share a few stories. We'll keep your name anonymous, so no worries there. Okay, today's conversation will be a little different than some of the others this month. My friend Allie Miller is here, and though she is technically still single, as in she isn't married yet, she won't be for long. Yep, she's going to the chapel. This girl's got some changes coming to her life soon, and she's telling us all about her last 10 years of not dating. Wait, what? How'd that happen? Grab your coffee? Let's find out. We're talking about big families, music, and loading up the camels. Today on What's Next, God?
It's as good as it's gonna get.
Are you a coffee drinker? Like, tell me, is coffee like a love language for you?
Yes.
It is like a love language.
Yes.
How much?
It's like Jesus, family, and then like music and coffee are right after that.
Jesus, family, music, coffee.
Music and coffee are tied.
Oh, music and coffee are tied for third. That's a big deal. Because Allie, you're like a worship leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, music's like a big deal. Coffee, big deal.
It's a big deal.
I'm sorry, I've offered you awful coffee.
Oh, listen.
We're on the road.
Take what I can get. I'm fine. Fine.
All right, so your favorite coffee in the whole wide world. Where did you have it?
Gosh.
Or where do you have it?
Oh.
Do you have like favorite coffee places?
I drink a lot of Starbucks, but it's because I have a lot of siblings that work for Starbucks. So I get to like see them and get coffee at the same time. But probably my favorite, I mean, there's not really anything better than just like making it at home. Like I have the whole like Chemex or like French press kind of a thing.
You do the Chemex or the French press?
Do that and have coffee, like especially if I'm having like quiet time.
So coffee every day for you.
Oh, every day. Yeah.
How many cups a day do you drink?
I try to limit myself to like 1, maybe 2. If it's a busy day, because as much as I love coffee, I don't ever want to rely on coffee.
Yes.
So I'll periodically kind of take breaks, which are really sad times for me, but like, we won't dwell on that.
It's like our friend Stacy one time talked about, she wasn't drinking coffee, she was fasting coffee. Did you ever hear that story?
No.
Because she loves coffee and she fasted coffee because she loves Jesus more than coffee. So she wanted to fast coffee.
Yep.
That was really hard because she loves coffee.
I did that once for a month.
No coffee for a month?
For a month.
I've done that before.
And I was so
sad.
Angry. There were a few angry days.
Hurt, bitter.
Needed a sozo. Oh my God. It's bad. It's so bad.
The coffee love is real.
Yeah, it's real.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about Allie Miller. Who is Allie Miller? So, like, you have, like, a famous family. Aren't y'all the Millers?
A famous family? I think it's just because we're so big. Like, I'm the oldest of 8 kids.
Okay.
So, yeah, my dad actually grew up in this area that we're in now. So, like, the East Tennessee area, he grew up here. My mom is from Dallas.
Okay.
So, like, they both actually come from a family of 4 kids each and then had 8 children.
Ah.
So, you know, growing up was just fun.
You're the oldest.
The oldest.
Of 8.
Yeah.
How old is your youngest sibling?
She just turned 18.
Okay.
Like, a few days before Christmas.
Wow. Yeah. And you're 31,
Yep.
so that's 8 kids in 13 years.
Yeah, so roughly about 2 years apart each.
So you all grew up together.
Oh, yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm one of 10, but we're kind of all so spread out.
I knew that.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. What?
I'm the oldest girl. I'm number 3 of 10.
Yep.
And, but the way the age gaps work, there was probably never more than 5 of us at home at a time.
Okay. Yeah.
Like when the oldest one would move away, then the next one was born, and then my older brother moved away. So there was just like 5 of us at a time.
Yeah.
So, but not 8 at one time. Now, do y'all, all of your family are musicians of sorts too, right? Didn't you travel and sing?
Yeah. So there's like, first there were 5 girls, then 2 boys came along, then Faith, the youngest one, is obviously a girl. But the first 5 of us sang together, so we traveled quite a bit, and we would sing mostly a cappella stuff. We didn't actually get into doing worship stuff till, I don't even know, several years back now, but way later. So we just like grew up doing just random songs. We were cleaning the kitchen one day and listening to some a cappella album, some gospel group, and we were just kind of cleaning. As we're cleaning, going along, we were like, I wonder if we could do this, and we just started singing and, did stuff at church, and somebody would hear us, ask us to come to their church or whatever. Of course, family always like asked us to get up and sing, but what was bad is that we would get so aggravated, like when our family would ask us to get up and sing and do stuff, because we hated performance. Like we didn't like performing. Yeah,
you just like
it at all. We just enjoyed music. We liked to sing together. We were, it was easier for us to work with each other because we're sisters. We're right there with each other all the time. But yeah, it was when we discovered worship music that everything kind of made sense all of a sudden. Like we were like, oh, this is kind of like, this seems to fit everything that we were missing, and kind of brought more comfort and peace, because it wasn't us drawing attention to us. It was directing people's attention to the Lord. And yeah. So that's what we did.
So are you musical with instruments, or do you just sing?
A couple of my siblings play instruments.
Okay.
I play a little piano by ear, but not enough to be confident to play in front of people. But like several of us took piano lessons early on, but we never really went very far with it. So
you are currently a worship leader right now for a church, Ramp Church in Chattanooga. Yeah. And you are actually a really good singer.
Oh,
I know you don't like a lot of attention, but I love to hear you sing.
Oh,
I love to hear you worship. Have you always wanted to do that?
I think I was probably about 14 or 15 when we first went to kind of a more Pentecostal church, and it was the first time that I encountered somebody that like was like a for real like worship leader, and I wasn't used to that growing up. We had like the song leaders in church. We did mostly hymns and stuff growing up, but I remember when I saw that there was something in my heart that was really drawn to it, and I just felt like that little tug inside of me, and but it was a bit of a journey for me, and it was like several years of kind of the Lord showing me some things about worship, teaching me a lot about worship and everything, but I was actually very convinced for a long time that I would never be a worship leader. And I would tell people, like, I'm not called to be a worship leader. But I would have dreams. I found journal entries not too long ago of me having dreams where I was standing on a platform, had a microphone in my hand, and I was singing. And people were just all, like, standing up, raising their hands. They were not looking at me, like, not even focused on me at all. And I would be writing stuff down. I don't know why I was singing. Don't know why people were worshiping, because I'm not called to be a worship leader. Like, I was convinced, like, maybe I'm called to, like, teach about things. Maybe I'm called to preach, whatever. But had no idea what I felt called to do. So it actually was not fully until I moved to Cleveland. And Jamie and Judy Jacobs Tuttle kind of pulled that out of me.
Like
they kind of saw that, and they were kind of sneaky about it a little bit too.
How old were you?
So I was, that was 2012 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like 2012, so I don't even remember.
So you were in your 20s.
Yeah.
Wow, and you didn't
Yeah.
sing really
But
before
I
that,
loved
except with your
worship.
family. Just
Yeah, I loved leading worship with my sisters. I liked doing that kind of stuff, but I never was confident in doing it on my own.
gotcha.
Yeah.
What did you want to be when you were a kid? You didn't want to be a worship leader. What did you want to do?
I wanted to do anything with music. I wanted to be like so many different things, like all at one time. I was like, I want to be a makeup artist, and I want to be a dancer, and like, and I want to be a singer, whatever. And I was all about that when I was little.
Yeah.
But mostly like where everybody has that thing, growing up, and they're like, I want to be this or I want to be that. I was like, when I grow up, this is what I want to do. I was like, I just want to grow up. Like, I just want to be an adult. Like, that's where the fun is at. So
How do you feel about that now?
I actually am liking it. I feel like I was actually right about that. I have fun. Yeah,
You like adulting.
I do. I'm not always afraid of it.
Well, you're the oldest. Okay, wait. Do you love the Enneagram? Do you know?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
big fan.
You're a big fan?
Yeah,
Will you tell me your number?
I'm a 7 with a wing of 8.
Yes, you are.
Yes,
Yes, you are. So the sevens like to have fun.
we do.
Which is why you
We
want
love
to be
it.
a singer and a makeup artist and
Oh yeah,
all
we
of
can't
the
make up our
things.
mind about anything,
No.
like, because we want to do it all at one time.
Yes, and everything is fun.
Yeah.
Let's just do it all.
Yep.
So, and that wing 8, very much a leader,
Intense.
strong, intense. Yeah,
Can be intense.
can be intense.
Yeah.
We have to see those things though as strengths, not
Yeah.
weaknesses.
Yeah.
We always want to kind of take our 8 friends and be intimidated like they're terrible people.
Yeah.
And I love my 8s. My 8s challenge me in ways that no other
Yeah.
number can.
Yeah.
And it grows me and makes
love
me a
that.
better person. And
That's
so
awesome.
your 8 is a good thing.
And what is yours?
I'm a 1.
You're a 1.
wing 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm a reformer.
see
I like
that.
order.
Yeah.
I like a 1. And
Yeah.
some people might not, but I like some people
Ones
when they
are
find
awesome.
out their number, they go, "Oh, I don't want to be that." And for me, I'm like, I like being a 1.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I like 1s.
I do like being a 1. Now I know the weaknesses of my oneness,
Yeah.
and I embrace them, and I know these are the areas I need to work on. I'm okay with those.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's mine. You are, we said your age already,
Yeah.
31.
Yep.
You've been single your whole life.
Not my whole life.
Well, you haven't been married before.
I haven't been married before. Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, single in
Yeah.
that way, yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing a series about celebrating singles. And I
Yes.
want to celebrate you because you are an amazing single person who is living her life. But what do you think about being single? What was that like for you? Because, hey, spoiler alert, she's engaged.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to talk about that in a minute, though.
Yes.
Talk to me about being single. Hard for you? Do you love singleness?
It's funny. For a long time, I had only been in one other serious relationship
Okay.
throughout my whole life.
How old were you when that was?
Oh gosh, 18 or 19 when
So
it
you were
started. So it was for a couple of
young.
years.
Okay.
And I had gone like on a couple of dates with other people, but serious relationships, that was the only one. And prior to that, I was a very insecure kid, like just very, I hated being alone. I still don't really like being alone because I'm a quality time person.
Because you're a 7 too. But
Yeah, I'm a quality time person. I'm a 7. I love like being with people. But I really didn't fully know who I was either. So it was I remember like feeling very sad about being single all the time. And after being in that relationship, and it just honestly wasn't a relationship I ever should have been in, I feel like, but God really used that in so many ways to just kind of wake me up. And I realized one day, like, I have no idea who I am. I have no idea what I'm called to do. And I could have married this person. Like, we had planned to get engaged and could have married this person and had a decent life and everything. But I remember like waking up one morning and hearing the Holy Spirit, and was not in a really super close relationship with God at that time, even being like raised in church and, being taught about relationship with Jesus. I don't think I had ever like fallen in love with Jesus at that point. And I remember having compromised a lot of things, even in that relationship, that I never thought that I would. I remember waking up one day and just hearing the Holy Spirit saying, like, you got two paths in front of you, and you can marry this guy and you'll have a happy life. You'll have everything that you want, but you won't ever feel fulfilled in that. Ouch. And that like hit me like a ton of bricks. And I remember, and he was like, or you can go down this other path where you can't see anything coming right now. Like, you may not see anything ahead, but just one step at a time, but you'll find me there. And I remember like that was the moment for me where I was like, I don't care if I'm single for the rest of my life. That's what I want. Like, if I'm hearing the Holy Spirit, I know it's the Holy Spirit. I'm running in this direction. So I remember that was kind of the big shift for me, the big change in my life, where I was like, I'm not going to be in another relationship until I know who I am in the Lord. If it means that this pursuit, like, I know who I am in God, and God and I are like, we are super tight. There's nothing in between me and my relationship with the Lord. If it means that costs the rest of my life, and it means that I'm single for the rest of my life, then it's worth that to me. And honestly, and of course there's times that you feel lonely, and there's times that you want that relationship, you want to like hold hands with someone, or somebody to tell you that they think you're pretty, or take you to dinner,
you're such a 7,
all the cute things, and I would never have admitted that ever. So honestly,
that's your 8-ness.
The 8 was like strong, living strong through all of that. I would never have admitted that I wanted to be with anybody at that time.
I think sometimes though, people put up that it's a defense mechanism.
It is.
Where I am not going to get hurt or rejected by you, so I'm going to act like I don't.
I'm going to give you the opportunity.
I'm not going to give you the opportunity. I don't need or want this. You really do, but you don't want to risk being hurt. Yeah. So you act like you don't want it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was a hard lesson to learn for me until way later. So that journey, I had no idea was going to be the next 10 years of my life. Wow. And so for 10 years, almost to the day, like this year, when you and I actually talked, I remember telling you about that. And and I was like, this has been like, it's like my 10-year anniversary with the Lord, like this journey that I've been on with him. And all of a sudden I'm getting prophetic words like about a husband coming, and I'm like, excuse me, like what? And I didn't really know how to wrap my mind around that, because even though in my heart, like, I wanted to believe that, but I also still that kind of like 8 intense thing. I didn't want that or let myself hope for that, but at the same time I had to like remind myself, like, if God is promising you something, he's not just messing with you, like he's faithful to those
I remember things. That conversation with you because I remember one of the things I felt to tell you was about something a friend had mentioned about hope deferred making the heart sick. And sometimes we think that I don't want to hope in something because if it doesn't happen, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt that much worse. But hope deferred makes the heart sick, meaning he used the example of like a student loan. When you defer your loan, you stop making a payment on it. So when you stop putting hope in something, that's what makes your heart sick.
And I realized at that time when we had that conversation, that was when that started changing for me, because in my heart, I realized like, oh, wait a second. I'm the person keeping myself from this thing. Because yes, all of this 10 years, there was purpose to that. And there was absolutely. And it was such a beautiful journey with the Lord, and I would not trade it for anything, like not a single moment of it. But I realized like, okay, now we're transitioning, and I could feel that transition happening where God is speaking something new and wanting to do something new in my life. but he's not going to force that. Like I have to be positioning myself to receive that.
Yes.
And so that meant being vulnerable. And that was the big like, oh, that's going to be kind of hard for me to do, because in all honesty, I was hard on guys, like just for like kind of in a funny way, like just mean, like to them. Just
so did you ever date like even like one date at a time here and there?
Yeah,
Okay,
like a couple of
nothing
times,
long term.
But yeah, never like if I thought there might be something there, I might like kind of test the waters a little bit, and it always was the thing where I just kind of felt the Lord like, nope, this isn't it.
That's not
Keep
it.
going. So just kept moving on.
But at least you heard that voice and you were willing to go, okay,
Yeah.
not that. Instead of like, hey, I'd kind of like to hold somebody's hand. I think
Right.
I'll hold his for a while.
Oh man, and things like that are real. Like even the temptation of just random stuff, even stuff that's not wrong. Like I don't know, like it just sometimes, like I said, you just want to have that moment with somebody. You want to be able to go out to dinner or something like that. But for me, it kind of came down to, well, I've already been in that place before.
Yeah.
And been in the relationship and realized that it was wrong. I would rather just continue on this path than to make that mistake again.
Yeah.
But also realizing that part of that was out of fear.
Yep.
Too. So it was like, this was a time for me of being vulnerable and not being afraid. And so yeah, that was an interesting.
So what did it look
little amount of
like
time.
for you to be vulnerable? When you say that, what are you meaning? What was different? What did you change? Being honest, one. What I hear you saying, being honest about your feelings. Okay, maybe I do want to be married.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm willing to open myself up.
And I remember even you saying something to me about, like, if the Lord's promised you something, you need to start talking about it. And I was like,
yep.
Like, I'll talk to you all day about something, but if it's something that I don't want to open up about, which is a 7 thing too, it's the deep stuff that, like, there could be some pain there associated with that that I don't really want to open up about. I don't want to dig all of that up. And I remember there was one particular day I was driving around in my car, just driving around talking to the Lord about some stuff, and I mean, clear as if he was sitting in the seat next to me, he was like, "Why will you talk to me about everything else, but you won't talk to me about this?" And I realized, like, I don't even talk to the Lord about this. Like, don't open up at all about it. And I've held nothing back. Like, I feel like I have gone to the limit of trying to lay everything in my life down, but realized that I would not talk to the Lord about this subject.
About singleness.
Yeah.
About dating. About
like
wanting
the
to be
reality
married.
of what I felt in my heart and what I wanted, what the desire of my heart was. Even though obviously he knows already, but and I realized that there was some stuff that I had like kind of just packed down in my heart like years back after that relationship ended, of having trouble even trusting the Lord, like allowing myself to trust the Lord that there could be the right person that comes along at some point, that maybe that's part of the journey or whatever. And I had to like take a moment and just get really real with God and be like, God, I'm sorry. Like, I realize I've not even been trusting you with this.
Yeah.
Even if you've promised it, like I'm having trouble trusting you. And so just laying that all down and just being like, I'm hoping against all hope. Like, I'm just going to go for it and just put all my stock in this. If this is what you're saying, I'm going to believe it. And so took your advice and had a couple of close friends that I talked to. And I was like, we're just going to talk about this. I'm going to be a girl, like girly girl. We're going to talk about these feelings. Like,
I'm so glad you did that.
And it was stretching. It was stretching. And the Lord even like allowed opportunities. And it's funny how he does this to me. Like, amazing how he does it, but it's funny. Because always when you have those moments of having your faith stretched, he'll stretch it a little bit more and a little bit more. And I remember there was one day, this is going to be random, but I had like this gift card that somebody had given me.
Okay.
To a store that I don't usually shop at. And it's usually very, like, pretty expensive. The gift card was not for all that much. I could maybe get something really small from this store. And I woke up one day and just felt like I wanted to go and just look for dishes. which was so random. I'm like, I live at home. I don't need dishes. Like, like I have dishes here, whatever. And I'm looking and looking and looking, just kind of scrolling through, and I see this set of dishes that was on sale, and just suddenly kind of feel this nudge from the Holy Spirit, like, there's the whole thing about the camels are coming word. And he was like, and I had been thinking about the fact, I was like, in the Bible, in that story with like Isaac and Rebecca was the one on the camel, not Isaac. All these single ladies are out here talking about, I'm waiting on my camel to come, and I'm like, what if you're the one on the camel? And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to take that seriously then too. And so I was like, I remember I ordered those dishes that day, like invested some money in them, and more than I would ever spend on dishes. It wasn't expensive, but it was more than I would spend.
But it was a prophetic gesture.
It was an act of faith in the Lord.
I am investing into my future and words from God on what his desire is for me.
And I texted one of those friends that I had been intentionally vulnerable with, and I said, I've begun to load the camels. I was like, we're loading them down. I was like, I'm not coming with nothing. I'm coming with expectation. Like, we're doing
Allie,
this.
That is so great. Yes. Load the camels down. I didn't even think of it like that.
And she was like, I don't even know what that means, but I love that.
It means something.
It did. It meant something to me.
Yes.
And I realized that as I did those things, like even following those little nudges from the Holy Spirit, it was an opportunity for my faith to grow in the Lord. And in that, my relationship with the Lord grew that much more. And like the love and the trust between us grew even more.
Yeah. So, okay, so wait, we have to give everybody a timeline. So
yes,
these conversations that we're talking about that I had with you was in the
spring of this year.
Spring of 2019.
Yep.
And we started talking about this stuff, and you start after 10 years. Okay, 10 years is also a big thing. Like there are just...
It's a third of my life.
Yeah, there are 10...
It's a third of my life.
And those are like 10 years when God just does things in 10-year cycles and patterns. And so for this to even be a 10-year thing for you from that moment that you ended that one relationship, and then this season of preparation, you get these words in the spring of 2019, you start loading your camels with all these things and start getting ready and talking about it. And then something happened. Like with someone I knew for several years and never even I wasn't even close friends with this person.
Nope. Didn't even think about him in that way. Other people had actually mentioned him to me before, and I was like, oh no.
There's no way.
I just don't feel that way.
Yeah. It was like one of those things when you first said it, I was like, oh. I was like not sure what it so took me off guard.
Yeah.
Because we've known him. Like, that was not what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But it's so perfect.
So perfect.
So you started talking to this guy that you already knew.
Yes. And it was because a family member of mine was in the hospital, and I had, leading worship. So I sent a message to my team, and this guy runs sound for us at the church, so is like they're with me every week, and he's in that thread, and I just remember him messaging me within seconds. And here's what's weird, I knew he was going to do it. Like, I don't know why I had this feeling, but that one thing set off this whole like little, I think it was probably a month and a half of us just becoming close friends. Don't know why, but that was kind of like the open door, because I was also in a very vulnerable place at that time, and at the same time trying to be intentional about being vulnerable with people.
Yeah.
And he and I just became really good friends, and I was very much and I told him this even during that time frame. I was like, guys and girls can't be best friends. It's just not like that. But I talked to him all day, every day,
But you had an emotional connection with him.
Yes.
I think this is where the whole guys and girls can't be best friend thing, Like, you're really saying that you
without
felt
something
nothing,
at least.
but he had something.
Yes.
For you. You just may not have had it for him.
Yeah, and I didn't know either. I thought that his intentions were just, friendship, and
he was acting honorably as a friend, even though he had this secret thing inside of him.
Yes.
That he really liked.
That he wasn't even at the time completely sure about either. He kind of he felt some things, but I think he didn't know fully what that was in the beginning.
Yeah. Were you ever nervous in that process, getting to know him? No, you weren't, because you weren't thinking that this could be.
I wasn't nervous, in a bad way. It was more of the butterfly thing, where I was just kind of at first I didn't. And then I remember, I could tell you where I was standing. I was in Target, out of town. I was working out of town or something.
I remember that you telling me this.
And I just remember he texted me in the middle of the day one day. It's not like it was the first time he had done that, but I remember him just checking in, being like, "What are you up to right now?" And something about it just hit my heart. And I was like, Lord, I love that he just checks in, that he just cares about what I'm doing. He's working, he's doing his own thing, but he actually thought to just text me in the middle of the day and see how I'm doing. And that was when I realized I was feeling something. So we kind of moved into the denial phase after that for a little bit.
We're best friends. No, we can't be best friends. I think we like each other.
We're not nothing's happening. It's not anything like that. Everybody knew except for me that this was something more, and I just refused to see it for a little while. But
even though you were open to the idea of getting married or dating somebody, but yet you didn't think it was going to be him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and I realized after a little while, and I feel like I hear a lot of people say the same thing too, or have since we got together, that he was not all what I was expecting. Right. But at the same time, hit everything that I felt like the Lord told me on the list.
Yeah.
Everything that was a deal breaker.
Yeah.
He met every single one of those things, but I didn't realize that at first until I started getting to know him, and I was like, oh, you are not the person I thought you were. At all. I had gotten in my mind who I thought you were this whole time, and he was so different. Completely different.
When I was single, I used to scoff at the whole list idea, and I just thought it was kind of silly and childish, and I'm like, just unrealistic kind of thing, so I never made a list. And then I was in a service, and I wish I could remember exactly when it was or what happened, where it was the idea of writing the vision and making it plain, kind of this whole thing, and without vision, the people perish, and there are just these things. So I was like, this is when the Lord started talking to me about, hey, you need to think about preparing to be a bride. And I knew that I was like, oh, I'm going to be getting married again. Right. Because I was a single mom with 3 kids, did not have marriage at all on my mind. So I put this little list in my phone just to fulfill the assignment of the thing we were doing in this service thing. And I was like, so I just made a little list. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe 15, 20 things on it. But I don't believe in lists like that. I just didn't. So I just tucked it away. Yeah. And I found that list in my phone after I had been married to Dave for maybe 6 or 7 months. Allie, everything on that list is my husband Dave.
Wow.
That I didn't even know about. And so, I don't know, make a list or don't make a list.
And I feel like it's funny too that even if you do make that list, how you get in your head what that person's going to be like according to the list. And they may still hit every one of those things, but they're going to be totally different than what you thought.
It's exactly right. Because I tell the story, I almost missed my husband Dave because it did not come. It was not the way I thought it was going to be.
Nope.
It didn't happen the way I expected, and I almost missed it. But yet the desire in my heart for these things carries bags for me, and he opens the car door, and all of these things that were important to me that my husband would do, he does.
Yep.
And the Lord knew that this man would fulfill the desires of my heart, just in a different way
Yeah.
than I thought. I like the idea that you told people about it in the beginning. Like, I think you're sitting here now, engaged to be married, because you took these steps of faith and you started declaring with your mouth. So we were talking a lot about this year. We're in the Hebrew year 5780.
Yes.
80. The symbol that represents 80 is pei, which is symbolic of the mouth. So we're talking a lot about this Hebrew year 5780, which we're in right now with 2020, being the year of the mouth. And just declaring what we want to see happen. Yeah. And it's like, that's what you did. And this is what happened. Yeah. You're getting married.
I'm getting married.
April 4th.
Yeah.
To this really great guy.
Yeah.
I guess we can say his name.
His name's Hunter.
Hunter.
I love him.
Hunter. Hunter reminds me of Cody Carnes.
That's so weird.
Carrie
because
Joe's husband.
In my mind, for whatever reason, I always think about, like, her and her husband, like, they're something about their story even, and it's like not
Feels
anything like ours, but there's some little like similarities. I can't remember at the moment like what exactly it was that reminded me of him. But
I've always thought he looked like Cody in that way. He's not what you pictured.
No.
At all.
No.
He's younger than you, isn't he?
He's younger than me. He is. He is.
Go, Hunter.
I remember him telling me when we were just friends. Realistically, we were never like just friends. Like once we started getting closer, but but again, it all moved very quickly from there. But I remember him telling me at one point that he liked older women, and I just kind of laughed at him. I was like, "That's okay, that's cool, that's nice."
I'm older, but you can't like me like that.
Yeah, and I was like, "Doesn't include me."
One of the things I love that you talked about too is the premarital counseling that you guys are doing. I think sometimes we spend so much time planning for a wedding and not for a marriage.
Yes,
and we get so caught up in the details of the wedding and a day and all the things that'll happen in one day and not think about what does this mean for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And if I could recommend anybody transitioning into marriage, find you somebody that you guys can talk to and get some counseling. There are things you guys need to talk about before you get married. You have a really great family. You actually have a lot of weddings happening in your family right now.
A lot.
Your sister just got married. Your brother just got married. Yeah. And who knows? There's 8 of you.
Some potential engagements on the horizon.
Who knows?
Who knows?
You just never know. So with everybody getting married, my goodness, your parents, bless their hearts.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know if they're like, I don't know. I think their heads haven't stopped spinning yet because it's all just one thing after another. Yeah. Hunter actually asked my dad's permission to marry me or asked for his blessing on the day of my sister's wedding because they were never together without me around. Yeah. And there was just one moment where they happened to be in the car together. They were talking about some stuff and he was kind of like, is it appropriate to do this right now? Like, I'm just going to go for it. And he was like, hey, I want to ask you something. And my dad was so excited. And they love Hunter so much. They're like so stoked.
How did you feel when some of your siblings started getting married before you? Was that hard?
I didn't care.
You didn't care?
No. Because
you were just set to be single.
Yeah.
With the Lord.
Yeah. I like kind of like jokingly, but sort of not jokingly, when my first sister that got married, she's kind of number 3 in the 8 of us, but she was the first one to get married. And I remember a couple of people asking, like, how do you feel that your younger sister's getting married before you? And I was like, better her than me. I'm not ready. I'm just not in that place right now.
That's the 8 in you.
Yeah. Living my life.
That's your 7. What's Hunter's Enneagram number?
He's a 2.
So
he's a very strong 2. He's the opposite of you. He's a 2 with a wing of 1.
So perfect for you.
Oh, yeah.
To have the helper.
Oh, my gosh.
Because you need it.
Yes. He knows how to ask the right questions. Like when if something is bothering me, now sometimes I have to just kind of take a second to get my thoughts together so I don't say something really dumb and like, just be ridiculous. But sometimes I don't really know how to talk about something that's bothering me. Mm-hmm. And he's really, really good about just asking the right questions at the right time and being like, okay, let's process this. Like, talk to me about it.
That's so good.
It's really good.
That's so good.
Yeah.
What have you learned about yourself in the last year?
I think just to not be so afraid. Like, just to not allow fear.
Yeah.
I think that was something that even entering back into dating again, like being in a relationship again, there's some fear that I had to like battle and just get rid of. And thank God Hunter was so like secure and just like
yes, he's
level.
Great.
He just was very consistent through everything. And
no drama.
Even if I told him, I'm feeling weirded out right now. I don't even know why. Like, I just feel, like, and he was like, hey, this is a big deal. Like, you haven't been in a relationship for a long time. It's no problem. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And I was just like,
you're so great.
That's great. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing is just not being afraid and realizing too, like, I think this was something you and I had talked about right after Hannah and I had started dating, like right after. And some of the things that I was kind of worried about being in that place with just me and Jesus and that little, like, in that bubble with just the two of us for so long and in really formative years too, and shifting into welcoming another person into my heart, and into that space when all of this time I've been like, nope, this only belongs to Jesus, like this is all his, and realizing it can still be all his. Yeah. And he's choosing to bring this other person in to share in that as well. Yes. And to express his love through that other person too. Exactly. And that has been the most beautiful process. And because I remember you telling me like, it's okay. Like, it's not, you're not doing anything wrong. Like, it's part of the process.
Yeah. So what that looks like is when you're talking about this relationship with the Lord and you think that you have to choose. I have to choose between him or God. You don't. God is going, no, Hunter is a gift to you. I'm going to show you my love through him. And so you need to be able to receive from him in order to know me. Yep. In a way. That's what God does in marriage. And it's not choosing one or the other. Yeah. It's God going, what you love in Hunter and what Hunter loves in you, it's me. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so this is what it looks like when they talk about that 3-strand cord in marriage, you, him, and God. Yeah. That's what that looks like. You're getting to do this. And not just with that, but with other people even in our life, knowing that God uses people in our lives to show us his goodness, his kindness, his faithfulness. And those are some amazing things that we get to experience from God in other people in our lives. Yeah. And it makes me so glad that you opened up. When you were talking about vulnerability, I think of so many people that are isolated because of fear or fear of rejection. Yeah. And they tend to isolate themselves and they can't experience the fullness of who God is. Yeah. Because they are isolating themselves from people that they think are hurting them. Yep. When really it's God's going, I need to get to you and I want to use people to get to you. That's so true. So you have an exciting season ahead of you. Is there anything you're nervous about?
No, I don't think so. It's just wearing a big dress in front of a lot of people. That's pretty
all
much
eyes on Allie.
It's a little weird.
That was my thing. Like that whole. Well, I was thinking, I gotta walk down the aisle, and people are gonna be looking at me. Yeah. And mine got super awkward. Everybody clapped when I walked down the aisle. Yeah. I need to see if I can pull up the original video.
If that happened to me, I would just.
Everybody was
laughing.
Like so excited.
I would be laughing so hard.
And I think they're thinking, praise God, she finally made it. There's somebody for everybody. Yes. And they clapped when I walked down the aisle.
That's amazing.
And so like that fear in me, all of a sudden I just laughed. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting married and people are clapping as I walk down the aisle. probably a first.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So don't be nervous.
Okay.
It's going to be great. And it's going to be beautiful.
Yes.
Your day and your marriage.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Well, would you just look at God? After 10 years, Allie finally realized she really did want to be married. She began tearing down walls of fear in her life, and she let hope in. Now she is planning an April wedding to an incredible man who really is a gift from God to her. Hey, don't forget to send me your stories of an awkward first date or an awkward dating experience. You'll need to send those to me by Sunday evening, January 26th, to possibly be mentioned in our final episode of our Celebrating Singles series in January. Don't worry, I'll keep your name anonymous. Your awkward story is safe with me. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook under the name Melissa Matheson. That's math, like 4 + 1 = 5, I before E, son, S-O-N, as in my 17-year-old son who probably has a few secret bets placed for the Super Bowl game, but he's not telling. Hey, we've also got a new Facebook page for the podcast you can go like as well. It's called What's Next God Podcast. This will be the hub for all things podcast, so go like the page and invite your friends that you think would want to join our podcast family. Friend, I'll be back here on Monday, and I'm saving you a seat, so come join us as we sit around the table, have a cup of coffee, and talk about what's next, God.